Hello, and welcome to On the Fence. I'm Erik.
And I'm Vicky.
And today we're going to be looking at Alter's Hyperdimension Neptunia Purple Heart.
Okay, so Neptunia, that's something like space-like.
It's cyberspace. Space. So basically, this character here, her name is Purple Heart, and she's from the franchise Hyperdimension Neptunia, created by a company called Idea Factory. In that series, she has like two different forms. So her normal form, she looks a lot younger, and then she can transform into her super ultimate form, which is like
this one.
Yeah, and it's kind of like a goddess of the universe they come from, which is called game industry. But game industry, like all one word.
Okay. It refers to video games?
Yeah, everything in the universe of Hyperdimension Neptunia has to do with video games, where you have like goddesses and there's different colors that represent different video gaming franchises or companies. Okay. So you have Purple Heart, and she represents Sega Genesis. Then afterwards you've got Green Heart, which is Microsoft, and White Heart, Nintendo, and Black Heart, which is PlayStation.
Okay.
Or Sony. And it's really, the whole thing is a comedy. Like, the whole show is a comedy, and it's really well written for those that do gaming design and stuff like that. I watched the show, and I got some of the jokes, but a lot of them passed, like, right over my head, because I just don't make games, so I didn't understand a lot of it. But I've heard from some people that the games are amazing if you understand that, because the video games, too, are similar.
That's fun.
Yeah. So, for her size, she is weighing in at 379 grams. She's 350 millimeters from the base to, I believe, the tip of her wing. She is a scale figure at 1:7. If you had 7 of these, like, Neptunias piled in one on top of another, you would end up having a full-size Purple Heart. She is made out of ABS plastics and PVC, like most anime statues are. Her release date was April 2018. And at the time of release, she cost 17,800 yen. So she's not cheap, but she wasn't breaking the bank too badly either. Most statues made by Alter are very high quality and high end in comparison to many other the companies out there. So I think that it was a pretty good price for what you get.
With just like a fast look at her, I can explain that price right away, seeing the quality of it.
Yeah, they put a lot.
Like a fast look, I can tell. Okay, so let's move on to the face.
I'm going to let you start it off.
Okay. I don't know about the character so much, but I do appreciate designs in general, so I don't mind not knowing about it. I like her face. She looks really cute. She has big eyes. Her hair is going around her face, making it really round. The details are pretty. Her eyes are like a mix of blue and purple, really, really cute. The drawing is really precise too. She has a tiny mouth that doesn't have much coloring. Maybe some glazing, maybe. And yeah,
it looks like they put a bit of gloss on her lips there. I thought that was really nice. I wanted to mention for the eyes that the decals inside the eye part is, her iris is basically, it looks like that power switch that you get with the semicircle and the line going through, which I think looks amazing. And
really robotic.
Yep. And the airbrushing and the shading that they did on parts of her look really nice. The skin texture itself is really, really soft.
Super pretty.
And that's one thing I don't know how well the camera is going to be able to capture this, but the difference in textures between her skin, her hair, even with the decals on the eyes, give her a bit of a shine on the eyes, and then the plastics that they use for her body are different too. So that way you really have an idea of all these different parts of her, like even her wings come out at a different texture, which is really cool.
It makes a great quality look.
Yeah, it does. As for her hair, well, like you said, I love the way that it contours the face. I think that's really cute. I think it's a really nice design. I personally love it, how it flails out and everything. They have multiple attachments in the hair. So one of the attachments is for the bunny ears, Unfortunately, one of mine is super loose, so I'll probably have to put nail polish or something like that on the tip, let it dry off, and then put it in so that way it pegs in a little bit better. She has like these little plus signs on her. They're actually like X buttons when you're playing a remote control that are on her forehead.
That's cute.
Yeah.
And inside of it's metallic paint, and you have a gradient of blue on silver. So it's a nice touch to have two colors in there.
Yeah, on something that's so small, the detail work on this is really incredible. Even the bunny ears behind them, you can see that there are little panel lines, and the panel lines are also gradients of color that are absolutely incredibly well done for something that's so small.
Yeah, the purple on the bunny ears is translucent. Well, the light can go through, but it's kind of
it's very matte.
Frosty.
Yeah,
frosty
frosted. What a great use of the word frost. That's perfect. You came in there.
Thank you.
I'd like to mention, too, for the hair, I love the idea that she has the long Street Fighter Cammy-style pigtails. And before I start talking about the end pieces that hold them together, she has floating shoulder pads, and one of them is actually plugged into the hair so that it gives off that illusion that it's floating, but it's actually the hair holding it up. And there's a lot of like little tricks that they use on the statue like that, where there are different things holding these pieces where you're supposed to have that illusion that it's just hovering around her. I think it's really cool.
It's really clever. It doesn't look like it looks perfect.
And at the end of her pigtail, she has these little jewelry pieces, and what's really cool about them is they're actually there's like a transparent magnifying glass effect going on, and it's interesting to see her hair come in, her hair cut off completely, this transparent piece, and then more hair at the bottom. That just adds to her robotic hovering items all around her aesthetic, and it just looks really cool.
Yeah, the airbrush on the hair too is really beautiful. You can see different tint of purple to give it like a 3D feel.
Yeah,
it's really nice.
It works really well with the sculpting.
Yeah.
The two really work hand in hand.
And even when you have the connection of the front part of the hair and the back, you see there's a connection, and it's really subtle.
That's true. I didn't even think about that. Like in so many anime statues, even like higher end ones, you'll always see the different plug-in pieces for where certain parts go in, and for this hair, it is very subtle. It's very well done.
I do think that the arm that's coming over with the sword is kind of close to her head, though. I would have liked to have maybe a bit of space, but I guess to keep the proportions, they had to do it that way. But
yeah, I don't like how her arm is touching one of the bunny ears, and I know you can move the bunny ears, but no matter how you move it, it's not going to move properly. That arm, too, is holding the sword. The sword actually splits up into two parts where you can slide the handle through her hand, and then afterwards the sword plugs in on the other end to close it off. The sword is massive, takes up a lot of space, it's very heavy, so with time it slowly slides off of her hand anyway. Not to say the blade comes off, what I'm saying is that she can hold any part of that handle, so it tends to slink down over the months that you'll have her until she's holding it at the very end of the sword. It's not too frustrating because it still looks good when she's holding it at the very end.
And the sword is pretty badass.
Oh yeah, the sword looks awesome.
I keep saying that. Yeah, it's like the details on it. Again, next to the handle here, you have the shading on the handle, the
panel lines.
Yeah, beautiful.
I just have to say there's a lot of shading within the panel lines on this statue, where there's normally that little line would be like a little black marker. This is like a purple marker that has a gradient over it. Like the work they put into this thing, unbelievable.
Yeah. And they have the Neptunia symbols everywhere on it.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
Represent.
On the sword, all over the place.
Okay, let's go down to her shoulder pads, her arms. Again, tons of details.
Yeah.
A lot of translucent part, metallic paint, some blue, some purple. You have the different plastic on her arm. You have that panel line that you were talking about that has a gradient of blue and purple. Super beautiful. The light purple versus the black on her costume is really cool. You have a feel of like latex or plasticky, like robotic piece. Really nice.
And the airbrushing is super well done on her arms. You can see that there's purples and blacks and it's just unlike the actual robotic parts all over it, and they're really put in spots where they'll accentuate what they want you to see, you know. So when the forearm comes out, it becomes blue, but when it comes near the joints, it ends up becoming a lot darker. It's just really on point.
Attention to details again.
Yeah, big time. Let's talk about the wings.
Okay.
Before we start getting into like the rest of her actual body, there's so much floating around her that maybe we'll get. I figured because there's a lot to talk about on this, so we'll talk about all the random junk that's floating around her, and then we'll get into her afterwards.
The main course. She's kind of like to me and to you. I think we talked about earlier. She looks like a robot fairy. Like those wings really have the feeling, fairy feeling. It's pretty cute, but super robotic at the same time. And
I love this. I'm a huge fan of fairy designs, whether they're creepy monster fairies or they're robot fairies. Fairies are my favorite.
Fairies
they look
everywhere.
So cool. And so yeah, her wings are amazing. The main metallic parts that are like holding the transparent pieces up. So the actual wing pieces coming out are made out of transparent plastic, much like the transparent plastic she has on her little bunny ear headpiece. It's very matte, not that transparent, but if you take a flashlight, you're going to see through it.
Frosty. Again.
Frosty.
We can use it again.
I love how these transparent pieces are supposed to have kind of a lightsaber-y style feel to them, and then there's panel lining drawn on them in white that say Purple Heart, Neptune, and Violet underneath, and I think that's really cool.
There is too a gradient in the wings that's really pale, and it goes to a pinkish point here and a bit more pink here, but it gets when you get closer to the body, it gets whiter. So there again, they have like nice gradient feeling.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Then she has these pieces that are floating around her, kind of like a skirt. So I don't really know what that's called exactly, but those are also made with a frosty transparent plastic.
He said it again.
And then it has those metallic pieces that are holding on to them. It almost looks like blades going around her. And they look amazing. There's a lot of metallic purples with some black, and even the panel lining again with the shading on it and the
blue too.
And the gradients are just really, really well done.
Yep. The way it's hold to the body piece is a translucent piece that's supposed to not be there. It's a bit chunky. I would say that's the one thing I can tell, like that's like bugging me a little bit visually, because everything else is so perfect, but everything else is so perfect that it doesn't bug me that much in the end.
Yeah, she's being held together by 3 metallic pegs that go into a base. Each one of those pegs go up, and there's a translucent piece of plastic that you set her on, as well as like metal that goes into her hip. And this is very necessary because she's actually quite heavy, as we had said before. She's a really heavy statue, and so she needs proper, she needs to be held properly, or she'll just fall over if she didn't have this. Like when you're plugging her on the base, I'm sorry, I cut you off. I just wanted to mention this super quick, that when you plug her on the base, the shoes will actually plug into these plastic things, and as much as I wish those shoe plastic things weren't there, because it hides so much detail and it really hides parts of the feet which bug me, they need to be used or she won't be able to stand on this base, and the metallic piece that's plugging her in the first place would break off from the base. So it's very important that you make sure she's stabilized properly. Alright, one last random bit of kibble we're going to talk about. Kibble is like that excess stuff that's hanging off of things. So on the feet, she has these little bunny ears as well. They're very similar to the bunny ears on her head, only they're on her feet. They've got a really beautiful design to them. There's this cool little spike that comes out of it, which is really nice. And they just look really awesome.
Silver paint again, like here and there. Some translucent purple piece with gradients on it too. Again, so much details on those little pieces.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright, so let's move on to that torso.
Okay. That torso. It's, first of all, again, I think I'm going to repeat myself so much with this, but details everywhere. But something I really like, the difference between the skin that looks really soft, almost like real skin, and the gloss of the bodysuit that looks like latexy. is really nice. I really love that X on her back with the details on the suit. It feels like they have like 3D-ish feeling, like they're popping out everywhere. The even like the color that she has like
It looks like she's actually wearing a costume or a suit. It doesn't look like it's just painted on. It looks like there's actual 3D engraving into all of it to give it that effect that it's not connected.
Yeah. Another part that I really like is the line under the butt cheek. I know it's funny to say, but it feels so real with the skin that's popping out because the bodysuit is tight on her butt cheek. It's just like a really nice touch.
She has her Hyperdimension Neptune logo on her chest, but like higher up. I guess you could say it's more like in between her collarbone. And I love that purple, like that pinkish purple piece in the middle that kind of feels like it'd be like a plasticky latex in between the metallic pieces that are holding it together. I think that looks really cool, and she has the same thing under her arms. The panel lining, again, has multiple layers and gradients on it. They're purple, and then they turn to blue and everything. Very metallic, very nice. She has her Neptune logo again on her lower back.
Oh my
broken.
God.
One thing I have to mention
stressed.
is she's incredibly fragile. I know I said it a bit with like placing her on here, but I mean the thing's made out of ABS and PVC. It's not the most solid in the world, even though it's made out of like decent plastics. So you do have to be careful. There's a lot of sharp points. This is the kind of thing where even these sharp points, it could get stuck on your shirt. It could do anything if you're dragging it or pulling it around places where it could just chip. So you have to be very, very careful with this girl.
Keep it away from me.
And the kitty. Like if you've got a cat at home or a little or like a dog or something, they will chew corners to this thing so fast.
We didn't talk about this.
Oh yeah, she has like those little robotic spike pieces that are down at her waist. That's pretty cool. I like that.
A nice touch again.
Yeah.
Another detail that I don't know if in like the original show or game if she has all of those details.
She does.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah. In the show, it might be mildly less, but not always. It's just, she's not always like this. They always draw her in her kid form because she's just in like a hoodie. And then when she turns into this form, it's usually for like the last few minutes. Okay. And there's tons of details, so you can only imagine that the animation studio's like, oh man, I don't feel like doing this. So it's like, basically you'll get 2 minutes of her looking all cool like this, and then afterwards it's back to the cartoon hoodied girl.
Makes sense. For the stockings, you have, again, the difference between the shininess of the stocking piece and the matte and soft finish of her leg. I like that contrast quite a bit. She has little honeycomb symbols on the side, on the back, panel line again, all around the place with different gradient of purple and bluish metallic feel. She has silver paint behind her legs. You can see there again the metallic piece that has silver going up to blue on the top. That's really beautiful. The shoes are quite unique too. I don't know if you have this.
Yeah, the shoes are super detailed. I like to point out that on them is the only part where there's any red anywhere on this entire figure. And then I like the robotic plating that goes around her shoe. I always love when robots don't have, or robot girls or guys or whatever, when you have like a mashup or an anthropomorphic type of robotic being that they don't have regular feet. I love the chicken legs. I love the stilts, like little spikes for legs. I just like weird feet and weird legs in general on robots. I think it always looks really cool.
Yeah, you're thinking it's a robot. Let's go wild and do something that a normal human can't.
Yeah. So where this woman still keeps her initial humanistic design, adding these extra little plates to give off a different illusion or a different effect to her footing is nice.
Under the shoes, we can see again tons of details, like even under you have different gradient shading on the heel. You have the metallic lines, the silver and bluish under the shoes. That looks a bit like it would be like hovering thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yep.
I would just like to say one thing. On the bottom of her actual boots, it's just flat. There's no texture like most shoes have.
Oh, you would have put like...
I would have put maybe like on the heel, because the heel's a really flat boot kind of heel. It's not a spike. I would have put maybe like a circle that kind of goes in, so it feels like it's got like an energy like propulsion system.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe in like the bottom part of the front of the shoe too, I would add little details, little panel lines here and there. I mean, there's so much detail everywhere on her.
But there's not enough.
But I mean, the shoes themselves, I feel like, because you see the back of them so well, I would have put more detail in it.
Yeah.
Because of the pose. Let's talk about the pose.
Okay. I like the dynamic overall composition. You have things floating around everywhere. You have the wings, you have the hair, you have the sword, those like skirty skirt kind of thing, the side like ankle side wings. There's stuff all over the place. I like that it's so dynamic. But there's a little something about the fact that she looks like she's in a fight, but at the same time she looks like she's jumping in a field of flowers. You're not sure which one. And that I would have liked to have, if she's jumping in a fight, I would love to have the whole like giving it all to the fight. Or if it was flowery cute, then it's flowery cute, you know? But overall, it doesn't bother me too much because it's all so beautiful and all those details floating around are really pretty.
Yeah, I agree with what you were saying about the pose. I personally would have preferred it if they made her head facing forward, so that way it looked more like she was diving in for a slash. There's an older statue that was made of her where they actually put her in that kind of pose, but the movement on it is very static. It's not as accurate either to the game or the show as this one is. The attention to details aren't as much there. It's still a beautiful statue, the older one. Like, we'll show a picture of that one right now. It's just that in comparison, I find that this one really does a better job on everything with the exception of the overall pose. Like, this is that kind of dynamic view where they want to show off the front chest of her as well as her bottom half at the same time. And I feel like when you're trying to show both of these things off at the same time, you don't get 100% in one direction.
There you go. You lose it somewhere.
Yeah. And if they're going to put her in this weird pose where they're twisting her body so much, you're more than likely going to see the bottom of her shoes pretty often, and so they should have put the details, like we were saying before, into that. I think that it would have made a difference. I think that it's a nice pose. I like how dynamic it is.
Mm-hmm. Okay, the base.
The base looks like it would be the iris of a robot.
Yeah, or the lens of a camera. It has a pearlized finish of black, silver, and purple. And
and Digimon. It looks like when the Digimon, the Digidestins, go into the digital world, it looks like that warp tunnel. Anyway, go on, sorry.
Yeah, exactly like that. Perfect.
It's pretty thin plastic. It's not particularly hefty.
But it is solid, though.
It's solid because of the way that it's wide and it has the metal pins that go through it in a really good area. Yeah, there's 3 of them, so it creates a good stability. If you were to drop this statue, she would break into pieces.
Yeah. Don't
drop this statue if you buy it. Yeah. Be very careful with her. She deserves your full attention.
I'm gonna stay away from it.
All right, so closing thoughts.
I think that it's a beautiful piece. I think it has so much details. It was really thought of. It's amazing. I don't know the character. I'm not like too attached emotionally, but I really do like the design.
When I had purchased this years back as a pre-order when she was first released, I had never played the game and I had never watched the show. I pre-ordered it because I love robots and I love fairies, and mashing the 2 up together, I have to give that.
You love purple.
And I do. Purple's my favorite colors. Decepticons for life. And so anyway, I really love the look of this, and then it's what got me into the franchise afterwards. When she was released, like I said at the beginning, she was 17,800 yen. That is kind of pricey, but for the quality and everything you're getting, it's not too bad. I'm sure that in today's market, she's a little bit more expensive than that. Not only do altar statues usually go up in value pretty quickly, but Neptunia seems to be getting more and more popular with each year. There's games coming out every year for the Switch and for other consoles, so more and more people are looking for that nice Neptunia statue that is her in her classic outfit. So, details, composition, durability, and value. Are you on the fence? Would you get this for that kind of price point?
Yes.
Yeah, I would too. I wouldn't pay like 17,000. I wouldn't pay double that. I wouldn't pay 32,000 yen for this. I feel like that's too expensive for what it is, and I would be patient because they're always making new statues. I know that they just announced another one, so
always new statues.
Yeah, the second like a statue becomes double the price, the only time I would really say go after that, and for any kind of statue, is if you love that statue and that character and you're very fond of everything about it, and it's the best one on the market. You know, there are newer ones, older ones, and the one you want is that middle one or that older one because it still looks nicer than some of the newer ones, which happens sometimes. So that's the only way I could condone spending double on something. Or if you just have the cash and you just don't care. Some people just walk around, they're like...
We're gonna rent again.
I usually do. In any case, so that's it for our Purple Heart today.
Yeah, thank you for watching.
Take care. See you next time.
Bye. That's it for today. Thank you for watching. We appreciate it. We would like to hear what you think about our video or what you think about the statue itself.
Write it in the comment section, please.
Yeah.
Oh, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Like, blah, 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 subscribe. Like and subscribe. Blah, blah, blah.